Pursuant to House Resolution 1160, the gentlewoman from Georgia, Ms. Green, and a member opposed, each will control 5 minutes. The chair now recognizes the gentlewoman from Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My amendment today would drive the bill for Ukraine. Take each dollar amount in this act is hereby reduced to zero. You see, the United States taxpayer has already sent $113 billion to Ukraine, and a lot of that money is unaccounted for. This is a continuance of a sick business model that the American government continues. The federal government continues to fund the military-industrial complex, and this is a business model that requires Congress to continue to vote for money, to continue to fund foreign wars, and this is a business model the American people do not support. They don't support a business model built on blood and murder and war in foreign countries, while this very government does nothing to secure our border. The American people are over $34 trillion in debt. The debt is rising by over $40 billion every single night while we all sleep. But yet nothing is done to secure our border or reduce our debt. Inflation has driven out of control. Americans are suffering every single day. They can hardly afford their grocery bills. They can hardly afford gas in their car. They can hardly afford rent. And now mortgage payments are well over $3,000, where they were only just over $1,700 3 years ago. The youngest generation, young adults, don't even think they're going to be able to buy a home in their lifetime. And today in Congress, the most important thing that this body thinks should be done is to send another $61 billion to a war in Ukraine that the American people by 70% do not support. Mind you, this comes on the very heels of Monday being April 15th, tax day, where every single American had to scrounge up their money and send their dollars in to the IRS. Or some of them had to file extensions because they weren't ready and didn't have the money to pay their taxes. But today, this body says the most important thing we can do, no, is not reduce spending. That's not it. Not to do anything to drive down inflation. Oh no, we can't do that for the American people. It's not to secure our own border that is invaded every single day by people from over 160 different countries. No, don't secure the American border. Let everyone in. We have over 1.8 million known gotaways. We don't know who these people are. And yet you have members of this body talking big and tough about, oh, we have to defeat Russia. Oh, we have to protect Ukraine. But yet all of you are unwilling to protect the American citizens that pay your paycheck, pay the light bills in this building, and pay for this entire federal government. For what? For nothing. Ukraine is not even a member of NATO. Ukraine is not a member of NATO. But the most important thing you hear in Washington, D.C. is, oh, we have to spend Americans' hard-earned tax dollars over to Ukraine and keep the money going to continue to murder Ukrainians, wipe out an entire generation of Ukrainian men so that there are widows, there are fatherless orphans, there are not enough men to work in their industries. Oh, but you really support Ukraine. Wow, what kind of support is that? It's repulsive. You know, shame on the American government. Shame on the American government. If we support our military, support our military. We should be funding to build up our weapons and ammunition, not to send it over to foreign countries to kill foreign people. And if this body was worth what it claims to be what it is, every single one of us would be demanding peace in Ukraine between these countries, peace for these people, so that no more of them have to die. But you never hear anybody demanding peace. No, 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 no. Peace is the last thing Washington wants because it doesn't fit the business model. This is a business model that they say continues our economy, protects American jobs. What a disgusting business model. We should have a business model that builds up our American companies and American jobs to serve American interests And our military and our government should care about protecting the national security of the United States of America and the Americans that pay their hard-earned tax dollars to fund all of this. America last. America last. That's all this is. Every single day, America last.
Gentlewoman's time has expired.
I yield.
Gentlewoman yields. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Connecticut seek recognition?
Chair, I rise in opposition to this amendment, strong opposition to this amendment, which would eviscerate
Gentlewoman is recognized for
the bill.
5 minutes.
Thank you. In the post-World War II construct, the United States is the witness to the world on the values of democracy and freedom. These values have provided the United States of America with strong allies across the globe. It has helped our partners in Europe and NATO to support Ukraine against Vladimir Putin's unjust war. If we do not provide munitions, Ukraine will fall and Putin will be emboldened. And the Green Amendment allows Putin to control Europe, abdicating our leadership role and promises to our allies cannot happen. We must support Ukraine's defense. The world prior to World War II was unstable, with authoritarian fascist leaders seeking power, and voting no on this amendment will ensure that history does not, in fact, repeat itself. I urge all of you to vote no. I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentlelady has the only time.
2 minutes to the gentlewoman from Minnesota, the ranking member of the Defense Subcommittee, Ms. McCollum.
Gentlewoman is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thank the ranking member. I rise in very strong opposition to this amendment. Cutting the funding in this bill would be devastating. To zero out our support for Ukraine would only embolden Putin more. As I said earlier, murdering civilians on a daily basis is what the Russian government is up to, as well as holding thousands of Ukrainian children as captives. As ranking member of the Defense Appropriations Subcommittee, I know the funds included in this bill will provide Ukraine with the vital support they need to defend themselves. If this amendment were to pass, we would send a signal that the United States does not stand against Putin's campaign of death and destruction in Ukraine. We absolutely must stand against Putin's aggression. If Putin is allowed to succeed in snuffing out Ukraine's democracy, it will put our allies in the Balkan states, Poland, Romania, and other NATO partners at great risk. The funds in this bill also strengthens America's national security by supporting our operations in Europe, backfilling our own military stocks so that we are prepared. I strongly urge a no vote on this amendment, and Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
The gentlewoman yields back. Gentlewoman from Connecticut.
Mr. Chair, I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Washington, the ranking member of the Armed Services Committee, Mr. Smith.
The gentleman is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to focus on one argument of the sponsor of this amendment, who's basically saying that if we pass this bill, we are advocating the killing of Ukrainians. That is a uniquely demented way of looking at this war. Putin invades. Putin, as we speak, is bombing and killing Ukrainian civilians. And the only thing that is reducing the number that he can kill is the Ukrainians' ability to fight back. So to look at this from a pure Russian propaganda standpoint, they invade, they bomb, they kill, and it's our fault for helping the Ukrainians defend themselves. That is the argument here against supporting Ukraine, and it literally makes no sense. If you want peace, give the Ukrainians the strength to stop Putin. He is the one that will not come to the bargaining table right now because he thinks he's winning. He thinks he can go all the way to Kyiv. He thinks he can take the whole country. If we give the Ukrainians the ability to stop him, that forces him to the table. It makes no sense to say that giving the Ukrainians the ability to defend themselves is what's killing them, when it is very clearly the Russians that are killing them. And I would also note that no president has added more to the deficit in one 4-year, or the debt, sorry, in one 4-year term than President Trump. And I didn't hear a single Republican complaining about the debt or the deficit during that period of time. The Ukrainians need our help to bring peace, to stop Putin, to stop what he is trying to do. Also, to Ms. McCollum's point, this also helps our industrial base. We face a dangerous world. Between Russia, Iran, China, North Korea, all of whom are working together, by the way. If we don't help Ukraine stop Russia, that helps Iran, that helps China, that helps North Korea. This is about our national security, which I am quite confident that whether asleep or awake, the American people also care dearly about. Please defeat this amendment and support Ukraine and support the United States' national security interests. Thank you. I yield back.
Gentleman yields. Gentlewoman from Connecticut is recognized.
Speaker, I yield back.
Gentlewoman yields back. The question is on the amendment offered by the gentlewoman from Georgia. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The amendment is not.
Mr. Speaker,
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Georgia seek
I
recognition?
ask for the yeas and nays.
The gentlewoman asked for a
Recorded vote.
Pursuant to Clause 6 of Rule 18, further proceedings on the amendment offered by the gentlewoman from Georgia will be postponed.